This is a pubic service announcement. You should get a rear radar light for your bike. Yes, they win the prize for least exciting Velotech 2024. And 23, probably 26. And they're quite costly for something that doesn't cause loin rumblings of cyclo-desire. But take it from me. It's my YouTube channel after all. You will feel so much safer and more chilled when there's a device dangling out of your rear end and you start riding with a radar. A radar adds an extra sensory input on the bike to supplement your eyes, ears, nose and gonads. Wobble-inducing glances over your shoulder are a thing of the past. It also sees dead people. My Garmin Vario review video was a love letter to the whole concept. Now, after a long lead time, another manufacturer, Bryton, has released its own rear radar light, the Gardia. After an even longer lead time, I strapped it on in April 2023. Here are some thoughts.
Bias warning.
Bryton sent me the Gardia to try. They didn't send any cash money, more's the pity, but did include in the box some socks, a water bottle and bizarrely some branded face furniture. I'll try to be as fair as possible, but let's agree to disagree. This is great merch. Feel free to apply liberal handfuls of salt to whatever guff spouts out of my cake hole. Stop! Disclaimer time. I can only give my own impressions on whether the radar functionality works. My testing, if we can call it that, will always be limited and take place in a small number of riding conditions and situations. I'll cut to the shaft. If you buy a Gardia and then subsequently get hit by a person driving a large chunk of metal, don't come back and sue me as a perverted wraith or any other sort of ghost. Now, how do these radar jobbies work? Before your pants overfloweth, I'm not going to explain how radar functions. It's something to do with bats, or the no doubt highly complex algorithms that separate signal from cars. Math, science, necromancy. Instead, I'll canter through how the growing stable of bike radars twerk from a user's perspective. Basically, they sit strapped akimbo your bike's seat post and cast their electrical fiddly fingers backwards to sense for approaching vehicles. They then connect to your bike computer or your mobile telephono and you get an alert each time there's a taxi up your jacksie. How this alert looks depends on the bike computer brand. Generally, there's a bar down the side of the screen and moving dots or car icons to denote each approaching vehicle. Also, it can be penises. Peni. Amber colouring implies it's coming at a reasonable speed. Red tells you it's coming fast. Green means all clear. There may also be bleeps. The Gardia is also a smart light. Not strictly a radar function, but a separate rear light would occupy the same seat post real estate, as no one says, so it makes sense to combine them. It has a few different light settings: solid beam, peloton, flasher mode, my favourite obviously, and switching between the modes is via the button on the top, or if you're blessed in that way, from your bike computer. Does the Bryton Gardia work as a radar? Here's a quick glimpse inside the sporty cyclist kimono. Bryton sent me the device before it was released. I didn't publish anything on launch day because, for me, performance of the device was not up to par in terms of vehicle detection and tracking. There have since been numerous firmware releases and things have materially improved. And to be honest, it's been very usable for a while. The subsequent delay is entirely down to my own moral failings. To answer the question though, the Gardia does work as a bike radar. It detects approaching vehicles and faster cyclists, it sends the appropriate alert to my head unit, it clears when there are no more vehicles to pass. The Gardia isn't, at least on my local roads, detecting cars from the claimed 190 metres away. It's much more like 50 to 100, which does generally give enough notice to be ready for a pass. It's not all plain sailing though. The Gardia is subject to the challenges that face all bike radar devices. Number one, if a vehicle is going at the same speed as me, the Gardia sometimes signals the all clear rather than remembering it's there. This is okay if the car is literally behind me waiting to overtake. I'm generally aware, but if the vehicle is masking other cars behind it, then the Gardia can leave me blind. Number 2, on a related note, the Gardia isn't great at tracking multiple cars approaching, which is fair enough. Presumably the front car bounces back the radar pips before the car behind gets a look in. Other radars Varia have the same issue, but seem slightly better at separating them out. Number 3, sometimes after the front car passes, the Gardia will signal the all clear before an
"Oh shizzle fuck Rolex, there's another one"
alert suddenly tells you that seemingly out of nowhere there's another vehicle right up your Harris. And number 4, the Gardia has given false positives, signalling a car behind where there is in fact none. The device is either sensing motorists in the other realm or is just getting it wrong. This has improved muchly with firmware updates, and the issue is annoyance, not safety. As long as they're infrequent, I'll go with the flow, man. Finally, we come to the radar performance biggie, false negatives, or in human speak, the radar failing to identify at all that a vehicle is approaching. Now I'm racking my little micro brain, but I can't remember the Gardia doing this. Maybe the odd time a few firmware revisions back, but other reviewers, including DC Rainmaker, have definitely experienced the Gardia failing to track vehicles, which is enough to slap a minor health warning on the device if you decide to buy one. To sum up on the radar side, then I'd say this, and remember the bit about not suing me. The Gardia has sufficient radar reliability to use on a road ride. It adds to my overall road sense on the bike. Can you devolve your safety awareness entirely to the Gardia? Of course not, but then you'd be a moron to give this up to any device, even to the Apple Vision Pro. But if you keep your wits about you, the Bryton Gardia adds extra data points upon which your wits go to work. This is the interlude where I ask you to like this video. You do you. The app. My take, based on absolutely no data, what do you expect, is that most radar buyers already own a bike computer, in which case the Bryton Gardia app is largely used to ensure the firmware is up to date. That said, you can use the app as a head unit for your radar. With your phone fixed upon the handlebars and the Gardia connected by Bluetooth, the app will show you the same vertical bar and moving blobs display as on a compatible GPS device. I'll be honest, I've got 20,000 compatible GPS devices and no desire whatsoever to attach my phone to the handlebars. So I'm in the bucket of app wranglers, using it only for updates. And it works fine. Each firmware update has been quick and hassle-free. At times I've found the original Bryton Active app, which connects and configures the bike computers, a bit buggy. The Gardia app is less complex, and I've not had similar issues. Looks and build quality. Unless you spend hours sat gazing at your bike, the aesthetics of your rear light shouldn't matter a great deal. You'd have to be quite the contortionist even to glimpse it whilst riding, let alone muse upon it. It's more a question for the rider behind you. Now, most people don't chomp on my back wheel. Is that the expression? It's more likely I'm hanging out the back of another rider, which is definitely not right. But if anyone did and their eyes were drawn to my radar light rather than my magnificent gigabuttocks, I'd have no shame in them perusing the Gardia. Let's not gild the willy. It's a radar bike light, not Rodin's thinking chap. But it looks smart, appropriately, with clean lines and a pleasing rectangularity. Build quality wise, the plastic construction seems robust. The Gardia has held up well to my crap coated, pothole sprinkled Derbyshire stomping lanes. In terms of operation, the Gardia goes with the single top mounted button, not unlike a certain other device in the segment. Recharge wise, it has a rubber flapped apersphincter at the bottom rear. Unlike the Farmin Harrier, at least the one I have, the Gardia goes with USB-C, which is modern. Smart light functionality. For me, rear lighting is a set it and forget it arrangement. I'm not sure I'd go out of my way to buy a non-radar smart light for my rear end. But a radar the Gardia has, so a smart light it is. as my Zen master tells me. And by smart, Bryton means two things. First, the light can be controlled by another device, and second, the light reacts to external stimuli. If you have a bike computer with smart light controls, you can change light mode from the device. If you don't have a bike computer, perish the thought, get off my channel, the Gardia phone app also controls the light. And going back to that second smart light element, the external stimuli, when the radar detects a rear space invader, it invokes a quick pattern of slow and quick flashes to alert the driver. For the avoidance of doubt, that's the light doing the flashing. The Gardia also has a gyroscopic sensor, which apparently detects you slowing down and then increases the light intensity for a couple of seconds to act as a brake light. I say apparently because I've not seen it working in practice. Finally, in the smart feature bucket, if battery juice drops below 15%, then the Gardia reduces brightness by half in order to squeeze out the maximum tumescent goodness. Now let's quickly canter through the light modes, of which we have 5 or 6 if you include off. High solid and low solid are pretty self-explanatory. Group ride is, as the tin suggests, a mode intended not to verdazzle the riders behind you. Ideally, I describe it as a slow throb, but for reasons of decency, I will not. And finally, we have 2 battery-saving alternatives, day and night flash. Now I'll put up here a table of brightness levels and flash patterns taken from the Gardia manual. I'll leave you to work out the difference between light intensity and lumens. In use, all of the modes are fine. I'm sure they're as visible as the stats imply. Light bulbs in the 21st century are, as far as I can work out, a solved problem. I tend to stay in one of the flash modes because, based on no research whatsoever, it feels like the active change in state is more eye-catching to drivers from afar. It's also one of my core life principles, always be flashing. Battery life. Bryton's claimed battery life stats support said core life principle. Even with the retina burning 73 lumens kicked out by a day flash, you should still get 1.5 to double the battery life versus the solid modes. This bad little bike tech reviewer couldn't be harassed to validate these battery life claims. First, it's boring. Second, I don't actually want to run out of juice on a ride. Even though I'm not meant to rely on it, it's disconcerting when a flat batteried radar fails to pre-announce the car that suddenly appears at my shoulder. So I tend to recharge the Gardia and my Varia more frequently than I need to. To give an idea though, on my recent 1-hour ride where I dicked around getting video of the different light modes, battery life according to the app ticked down by 7%, which scales up to 14 hours of lighting, assuming you too select dicking around mode. Again, the lesson, keep your high and low solids. For the Thomas Crapper, outside, stick to flashing. Alternatives. Clearly we have the Garmin Varia, the OG in this space. Certain young YouTube thrusters have created excellent review videos of that device. You might be aware that Magine has also released a radar cum smart light. I'd forgotten until I started working on this video. Depending on interest, I might buy one and do a 3-way and also compare all the devices together. Conclusions. It took a bit of time to get there, but the Gardia is a good radar and rear light combo. Be aware of its limitations and keep your riding wits about you. I think you'll find it a useful 8th sense on your velo adventures. It's good to see the Gardia plus the Magine give Garmin some competition in this arena. It'll be interesting to see where the next generation of rider assistance aids go. I'm hoping for a head-up display piping a permanent loop of sporting cyclist videos directly into my Anus. And with that, schnell, schnell, Kartoffelkopf!